Today we're looking at one part of your body that covers so many things. We will be talking over the next few weeks about breathing, about brain switching. Today we're talking about your nervous system. And then I really want to give you a little comprehensive guide with very, very few things to do to maintain your body. And it will also be like a little handbook to maybe get to know the body a little bit better. And today we're looking at our nervous system. I don't know how much you know about it. You might be a doctor or you might be a novice, but if you've ever had sciatica, and a lot of people had, it's like a really amazing pain that runs from your back over your buttocks down your leg. And that is nerve pain. So the sciatic nerve speaks in form of like toothache-like pain, debilitating pain when it's not happy. So that's one nerve, the big nerve. Then there is another nerve, there's loads of them. We're just looking at the major one, which kind of like starts at the back of your tongue, like kind of like here under your ears, and it runs down your neck, and it governs all vital body functions, all organs from your throat to your reproductive organs, not your brain, but from there to there. That's pretty much everything. So when that vagus nerve, called vagus from vagabond, the wandering nerve, when that's not happy, well, you might think you're ill or something like that, or you're not well. It can mess with your digestive system. It can mess with your irregular heart rate. It can mess with breathing, shortness of breath, anything to do with your digestive system, really, even digestion of emotions. So when that's not happy, oh my God, we will blame the world on it. We will take all sorts of medication without actually just checking if it's our vagus nerve. That's not happy. Number one tip, check your vagus nerve. It's in the book on page 323, but we're going to do it live here today. You will need to have a good light, you'll need a mirror, and you need something you can push your tongue down with. So I'll tell you what to do, then I'll give you a little break while I kind of like share it here, and then you go and look, okay? So here's my light. Here's my little, it could be a spoon or whatever, but like a chopstick is great if you have one, but it doesn't need to be a chopstick. So you might remember when you were a kid and you went to the doctor, first thing the doctor said was, open your mouth, stick your tongue out and say, yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do. You stick your tongue out, like you go to the mirror and you stick your tongue out, push your tongue down, and you try to find something dangly at the bit. It's called a uvula. So some people think it's their tonsils, but it really isn't. It's a uvula. So I'm going to do that, but I'm sure I'm going to show you an example in a diagram. So you stick your tongue out, go air. And there at the back, there's a dangly bit. So I'll spare you looking down my throat. Go and check out your dangly bit. So what we want to see in the dangly bit is, where is it positioned? Is it perfectly, there's my screenshot, it's a bit slow in movement. Is it hanging straight down the middle? That would be a bingo, and you can go along your day and you never need to come back now. I would still take the hack with you because it might not be always in the middle. Or is it kind of like hanging to one side? I've checked mine out before this, and just in case you saw it, you will see it's perfectly in the middle. I've also done a yoga practice just before then, had some hydration, and did all sorts of other things. But it tends to be in the middle unless I get really stressed. So you see there, and I'll just give you a little minute, and then let me know when you're back. isn't that amazing when we have like these signs in our body that could give us clues of how to look after ourselves, but we just don't really know the signs. So this is an easy one. I do this with my children to see if they're being out of sorts is emotional, stress related, or if it's actually physical. So before I give my child cough medicine, for example, that has been a beautiful example. Magnus had a very irritated cough for a long time when he was little. And it was around going to nursery, which, you pick up all the bugs and you usually just give them something and then it gets better. Nothing got better. So I learned this before I had him, but I didn't click. But then I was teaching it to someone and I thought, oh, I wonder if Magnus is stressed. He doesn't seem stressed. If you know Magnus, he's like a little bulldozer and he's never stressed. He's like a go-getter. He doesn't do stress. So I've looked at his mouth with a little mirror and he was really interested in looking at the whole thing. And it was completely out to the side and it was just before he was supposed to go to nursery. I checked again after nursery and it was right dang in the middle because I've picked him up. We've been already kind of like through the park, connected, and it was straight in the middle again. So it was the stress of going to the nursery that gave him that irritated cough. Then in the evening, I used to work in the evening and Dad brought Magnus to bed. He was screaming his head off, like mad. But before he screamed, I would check at his uvula, and it was completely out of whack because he was already anticipating that I would go to work and he would have to go to bed. After good screaming, after my session, and he would still be awake quite often, I would look at it and guess what? The screaming has sorted it. So it was his way of coping with the stress of kind of like going into distress or kind of, screaming or sounding using your voice box helps regulate your nervous system. So if you would shut him up or ignore him or tell him not to make a noise, that could have led to a more permanent damage to his poor little psyche. So that's the vagus nerve. That's one way of figuring out how it is. There's another telltale sign is humming. So that's more like the fine-tunement. So if it's out of whack, that's like a big out of whack. And if it's just not quite tuned, just not quite fine, we have a finer test. So first test, dangly bit. Second test, the humming test. So don't be self-conscious about it. I'm sure I won't hum straight beautifully the first time. I have a little bit of a sore throat. It's not, my sore throat is not vagus nerve related. So I'll, I push my tongue towards the ceiling of my roof of my mouth. I breathe in into my belly and then I hum. So just keep going while I'm speaking. It's a resonance we're looking from. Don't want to have it too high, we don't want to have it too low, and we want to see if it's straight or if it kind of goes like that or gets stuck. So humming anything, it could be a birthday song. Just getting into the habit of humming is really good for your vagus nerve. That is kind of like half a hack, and that's really good. Humming under the, even singing, expressing in a nice, even screaming like my child can through the voice box, because this is where the vagus nerve gets tangled. A really stiff neck, usually also, if you have like a really stiffness towards one side, quite often your vagus nerves, like your uvula is kind of like pulled to one side, jaw tension and things like that. So let's just first see if we can untangle it without addressing all that. But it's always good. I'm also a yoga therapist to have a little look if you have chronic tension in your neck and jaw. We can look at that even on Zoom, and I'm happy to help. But the real hack that I want to do with you, it's my favorite, and I've known to have something like my author's pen in my mouth a lot. So while I'm typing away, writing this crazy book of Ramadan for the woman you are, 444 pages, I have something in between my teeth. Quite often my pen, because I still have a notepad next to me to make notes of what I need to add and things like that. But quite often I have a chopstick which just lives on my laptop. It just lives there. And you don't put it too far back, you put it between the front of your teeth. What does that do?